presumably all the casters are casting the same series. But the quarterfinals. Go cast something else. All the games are already underway. I think Clem actually just lost to Bly for the first game. That is. That's or did he actually lose to him 0-2? Whoa. Wow, I guess Clem got blad a little bit. Alright, we'll see the updated bracket soon, get confirmation on that. But for now, we're in a PvP. In the top right of Ice and Chrome, it is MaNa, who I'm surprised didn't need a longer break, honestly. The PvP of him versus Harsum on this map was pretty damn long and very intensive, especially on his part. In the bottom left, there's the blue Protoss, he is ShowTimE. So, a map that absolutely could give us another super long game. But MaNa not only played almost 30 minutes of PvP on this map, that's a long, intensive game, because Starcraft 2 is intense. He also was the one doing more things. And I don't mean to say that as, you know, as if Harsum was doing it wrong, like he wasn't, but as Harsum, his job was a little more like sit back, split well, slowly gain the economy, and get to a better army. That was kind of his plan, right? Whereas MaNa, especially when the carriers arrived and the Tempest arrived, had to go, oh shit, like I need to go like Super Saiyan. I need to drop everywhere and harass everywhere and always be on guard and always be out on the map, because if I let him just get to my main or my Natch or whatever and I fight him 1-to-1, I'm dead. So yeah, MaNa was, it was a little more onus on him to actually move around and use the APMs. So I'm actually, I mean, I felt kind of tired and I was like only casting that. But I guess he's just ready to go, man, for the second, third PvPs played today. There are so many PvPs in these brackets, because so many of the up-and-comers are very good Protoss players. And now MaNa, who's, you know, not been an up-and-comer for years, for like 9 years, he is up-and-coming in the sense that he is now dependable. He can now, you see MaNa in an open bracket with the likes of a ShowTimE and a Clem and all that, and you're going to say, oh, he probably makes it to the round of 8, if not the round of 4. Hasn't made it too many finals. You know, I should emphasize that, but still, at a point where he used to be like, if he got knocked out in the round of 32, I wouldn't be that surprised. MaNa has really improved to be quite a reliable player, and so now against ShowTimE, who I would usually be unabashedly biased for, I actually think that MaNa has a really good chance against ShowTimE, especially after the fire that was the victory of the last PvP. We got a Twilight Council on the way. This fast, I am thinking it's going to be an attack. I don't know, but I don't think it's going to be a dark shooting, but rather a faster blink for an attack, more on 2 bases than. Oh no, okay, all right. Well, he did already get 4 Adepts, so I should have noted that. Yeah, he's up to 4, and I'm going up to 6 Adepts. So he's going to go for, like, the 8 Adept opener that we see go into, sometimes a Stargate, actually. Sometimes into a Nexus. Like, doesn't necessarily mean you always go into Resident Enclaves. But it actually is going to go into Resident Enclaves, and that might be something that's a bit more surprising for ShowTimE. If he mishandles this portion of the Adept crisis, it snowballs pretty quickly. Yeah, I thought this was, I think MaNa's done a Twilight Council before Nexus Blink build, where you do just warp in consistently the Stalkers and then hit when Blink is done. But with the Adept numbers, I think this Lucid Phoenix would see that, and it would be able to put 2 and 2 together, you know, faster than I did. Proxy Pylon is available, and that is the only reinforcement point. So that is worth noting. But this is a very fast Resident Enclaves attack. This isn't the 2 base with, I think, a 3rd gas, I think, is with it. And, you know, half a dozen gateways. Like, no, this is way faster. So, on one hand, you know, it doesn't have the Warp Prism, it doesn't have the reinforcements, nor the ability to, like, maybe get up on the main. It does hit when the Protoss player might have very few units, defending Protoss player. Guardian Shield is popped, which does very much so help against the Adepts. I actually can't even tell what's happening right now. I think the Adepts are losing, though. The Guardian Shield was hella effective. Nothing was really dying for a while, but yeah, the Adepts are losing out. I wanted to hype that up, but to be honest, I was like, well, nothing's dying. What do I say here? Like, I was kind of amazed at how that worked. You don't see the adept attack with the Resident Glaives on that army too often, so we just learned something together, guys. And that adept attack didn't necessarily work. I mean, I say necessarily because it did grab all those sentries, right? And maybe like 1 or 2 probes, but considering that you invested into adepts that are now dead, and even if they weren't, they get, you know, more useless over time. So those are dead, and now Resident Glaives doesn't help you in the future, and now ShowTime's adepts are in your main as well. Yeah, this ends up going favorably for ShowTime, even before his adepts got in here, and also get out. Damn, that's good. As he's already invested into Blink, he's gonna have the stronger, better, more useful mid-game technology, as well as +1 here, to go into the mid-game. So even if MaNa did come out on even probes, which he does not thanks to those adepts, he would have been behind in that aspect. So ShowTime gonna just go ahead and get further ahead, grab a 3rd Nexus, get a couple more gateways. He could maybe go into Disruptors pretty quickly if he wanted to, but I don't think there's a reason to yet. I think he just continually builds Stalkers. And then I guess you worry about what MaNa could do afterwards, which apparently MaNa is just going to go for another all-in. He's got 4 gateways, but if you produce consistently, that's still a lot of units. And he's got a handful of Immortals, literally just the 2 and a Warp Prism. But it looks like ShowTime's actually saw that, I guess with hallucination or something along those lines, is going to start warping in himself. So he wasn't warping in for a while because he was grabbing a 3rd Nexus. This is a little bit of a scary point for him, but he also was dedicating into more gateways. So he actually is finishing up a lot of production, maybe a bit later to producing. He is still going to come in to produce just in the nick of time with a lot of shield batteries, a couple of cannons. He might even want to add on a gateway instead of a pylon on the high ground to be really safe. But oh, the aggressive Blink forward does get the Warp Prism, and even though a couple of Stalkers will lose their lives, it is ultimately worth it as they are able to retreat away from this type of army. The pylon just finishes, so it is bustable. It would take way too long to bust. A safe Blink up to the high ground, and they could just Blink on the low ground if they had to. Very nice defense so far from the blue Protoss, who actually even grabs his 3rd Nexus again. That is how confident he feels. He's not wrong. Even blinking back into the shield batteries makes this very helpful. The adepts try and go for the probes in the natural, which is something. And that is going to be a tap out. GG. I think MaNa's attack, I think, wanted to snowball a little bit more, like get the 4 adepts to do a little bit more chaos. And then when the 8 adepts with Resident Glaive shows up, suddenly the Protoss player is like, oh, what? No. But a scout scouted him, so that was already giving ShowTime some knowledge. And then ShowTime didn't really at all kind of drop the ball on the defense. Lose more probes than he had to, or get a sentry sniped off first and foremost. Nor did he stop warping in, because in a typical PvP, if you were to assume that your opponent's also going for a Nexus and chronoing probes and getting to a Blink or whatever, you don't actually warp in that many units. Like, if you're being greedy, you even stop after, like, 2 units. If you're being okay, you stop after 4. If you're being really safe, you stop after 6. Like, and then you dedicate to pro production and, you know, +1 and Blink and all that. Anyways, and ShowTime didn't really stop producing. He had, what was it, 4 Stalkers and 3 Sentries, something like that, to defend 8 Adepts, which turned out to be pretty good, especially because one of the Sentries had a Guardian Shield. Top left, going for the cheese, didn't really work out. It is MaNa. In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss, we have ShowTime, who is on Team BIG. I think he just got, I think Red Bull sponsors them. I would assume so, because ShowTime's Instagram had a video, or pictures of him, rather, opening up the new Red Bull flavor. which I've seen in stores. It's like a coconut flavor, I think. Or no, it's like a winter flavor, whatever the fuck that means. It's like Red Bull Winter. Anyways, they gave him the fancy, you know, version. So it came in a box, and in the box was a box of ice. Like the monster, the energy drink was in a box of ice. I don't know how they shipped it and it didn't melt, but it did. And then they gave you a straw, a metal straw that was also like an ice pick. So you would open up the ice with the ice pick and then drink the very, very cold Red Bull with the straw. That's my interpretation of the pictures anyways. There were instructions that they're in German, so... anyways. If that really was the case, that's pretty sick. That's a pretty baller move. But Red Bull does a lot of baller things, honestly. Their brand is just kind of like cool, you know? Anyways. Something interesting happening in PvP. We do have MaNa going for a 1-git expand. I mentioned it when he was proxying and cheesing out Hearthstone on this map. That this is another map like Pillars of Gold where you'll see the Nexus first, or the Gateway Nexus. Pretty much Pillars of Gold is most likely to see it, and then this is a little likely, and then no other map really has the same potential. Now, Pillars of Gold makes a lot of sense because it has a high ground ramp on the natural, so that automatically gives you a little bit more of a defender's advantage, as well as a choke, like most naturals have a choke at the very least. But Death War doesn't have that high ground, low ground thing, so while I say this, and I'm basing this off of countless games, 100 games, whatever, like, I actually don't quite know why Death War is one of the more popular maps for it. Its rush distance is, I think, the same as Pillars of Gold, which is like 2 seconds less than like Eternal Empire. Yet we didn't really see too many Nexus first on Eternal Empire. I don't know. Regardless, doesn't matter. Point is, MaNa has done it, and ShowTime is looking to punish it. ShowTime was already going into 2 gateways. He didn't get his Nexus probe over there to block the Nexus, so he's gonna try and cheese MaNa. Cheese the cheeser. It's bold to do. Gonna go for a proxy robo and a 3rd gateway in proxy as well. With 2 pylons, this is going to successfully get up and running, but with the advanced notice, MaNa, I mean, he's already gotten to a robo, so a pretty safe opener. He's gonna chrono out an immortal, and when he can, probably add on a 2nd gateway. Because right now, that is the most limiting thing for MaNa, is he does not have a lot of production. And while he might have 1 or 2 immortals, 2 big, really good units, ShowTime is not going to be that far behind him on the same units, but also with more Stalkers or Depths or whatever he warps in. So this could get problematic. And then on top of that, ShowTime could warp in a Warp Prism and abuse how few units MaNa has to go high ground, low ground, high ground, low ground. So MaNa, I don't know. It's going to be difficult to hold this. He's got 7 probes, and then some to lose, honestly. Ooh, the target fire, but the shield battery overcharge is hell of a drug. It's hell of a drug. It's hell of a drug. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. He actually saves it. I mean, ShowTime saved his immortal, but because the immortal wasn't firing, he wasn't out DPSing the overcharge, which he was just barely doing with the immortal. Oh, man. Well, Adepts get into the main. MaNa did not account for that. It's a popular move, but it is so easy to forget that that is something they can do. And, you know, if the Adepts don't successfully get in there, it is kind of like not the greatest unit to have in the situation. But, yeah, kind of threaten the main base, but only so much. The Warp Prism, I think, itself is already just the most threatening thing, because I brought it up. The high ground, low ground problem. There's not a lot of shield batteries, or any, on the high ground. But MaNa did pump out his own Warp Prism, so at least he has the same micro ability, just less on the army units. Gonna go after the Sentry, take care of a Force Field and a Guardian Shield, and then maybe just Elevator? Actually not doing anything with his army. ShowTime goes for the Probe Micro, and then shades out. ShowTime has 16 more army supply than his opponent, and now the Adepts are they're actually gonna help a lot against the Immortals. Not killing the Immortals that quickly, but they take a lot of shots from the Immortals, right? So, I shouldn't have said that they're useless. They're definitely not useless, but, Sometimes you watch Immortals and Adepts fight each other, they just don't die. Like, now the one of them dies very fast. But uh-oh! Ooh, the pylon finally depowering the shield battery, so one Immortal goes down. The next two actually, ooh, one more goes down, and that's it. That is actually it. Stalkers on the high ground there were actually blocked out because of the pylon having finished. So, not enough units for MaNa to hold. It was going to be tricky. I was looking at that from the get-go, and I was just like, how does MaNa hold this? It just seemed...